Hello and welcome everyone to your quick yoga flow for balance. My name's Maria and I will be guiding you through this flow today. This is a beginner friendly yoga flow. It's also good for intermediate yogis. I offer several modifications that you can do to whatever level you're at. For today, we're not going to need many props. What I would recommend is if this is your first time or if you're having difficulty balancing, maybe coming up close to a wall or having some blocks or some books or a stool or something that you can rest your hands on when you're up to bring the floor up to you if you're having a little bit of trouble balancing. Meet me on your mat and we'll get started in child's pose. So bring your knees as wide as the mat, toes come to touch, or your knees can come together. You'll walk your hands up towards the front of the mat and then gently rest your forehead on the ground. I'm just going to take a few moments here to connect with our breath. And just turn your attention inward. For this flow, we're going to be using a lot of grounding techniques. So feel your connection with the earth. We're going to come back to this connection several times throughout this practice. Inhaling into your low back. Exhaling, letting the heart melt toward the ground a little more, connecting. Feel the energy from the ground up through your hands, throughout your body. Feel the tops of your feet grounding into the mat, into the earth. Breathing in and out through the nose here. On your next exhale, we'll push up onto all fours, so bringing your knees directly under your hips and your hands and wrists directly underneath your shoulders. We're going to start with a few cat-cows here. So inhaling, dropping the chest, dropping the belly, lifting the tailbone up. Exhale, round the chin to your chest and round through the upper back, coming into cat pose. Inhale, drop the chest, lift the tailbone, pull the shoulders away from the ears to find length in the neck. And exhale, chin to chest, lift the navel up towards your spine. Inhale, drop your chest, drop the ribs. And exhale, tilt the tailbone down, rounding through your back. A couple more times with your own breath. So on your inhale, coming into cow pose, stretching through the back, sending the heart forward. And exhale to round through the upper back. One more time with your own breath. Great, and then return to neutral. Keep your back flat. Pull your navel back into your spine to find stability here and connect with your core. We're going to send that right heel and that right foot back to the back of the mat, straightening out through that right leg, and just rock back and forth on it a little bit, stretching through that back leg. When you're ready, you're going to squeeze your glutes. Inhale to lift that heel up, bringing it parallel to your hips. So maybe you look down or you look behind you to make sure that your hips are level and you're pushing away from the mat using your right hand and your left knee and your left foot. Toes are flexing down. Heel is energetically pulling back towards the back of the room. On your next inhale, option to lift the front left hand up towards the front of the room and reach it towards the front of the room. Keeping strong and stable here, pulling in towards your center. So pull your navel back in towards your spine. That stability is going to help you stay stable here. Keep breathing in and out through the nose. Push away from the mat with that right hand, feeling that strong connection. One more big breath in. And exhale to release both your hand and your knee back down to the ground. Great. Just take a moment here to readjust. Maybe roll out the wrist on your right hand. And if you're having wrist issues, you can also come onto your fists here. Push down through that pointer finger, knuckle, and thumb, especially when you're doing a lot of these wrist exercises. Then you're going to send your left foot back towards the back of the mat. That heel is pushing back. We're going to rock back and forth a little bit, just stretching out through that back leg at first. And then we're going to inhale, squeeze our glutes, engage our glutes to lift that back heel. Keep those glutes engaged. Pull your navel back in towards your spine to keep your center stable and you keep your core activated. Toes flex down. You're pressing into the top of the right foot here into the ground, and you're pushing in with your left hand into the mat. Inhale again, option to lift the right hand and reach towards the front of the mat, towards the front of the room. Finding opposing energy here, your heels reaching towards the back of the room and your front arm is reaching towards the front of the room. Finding that connection to your center. And exhale, we're going to release everything back down to the ground. Great. We're going to send our knees as wide as the mat again, the toes come to touch. Send your hips back towards your heels and send your arms towards the front of the room. And then bring your forehead to the ground, returning to child's pose here. Just taking a little time to rest, connecting with your breath again. And this is a good pose to return to at any point in time during this flow. If you're feeling tired or you feel like you need to rest, you can always return to this pose. On your next exhale, you're going to push up again, returning to all fours, tabletop position, knees directly under hips, wrists directly under shoulders. And this time you're going to take your right leg and step it through or carry it through in between your hands. Beautiful. Your 2 feet are still on 2 different railroad tracks. And you're coming into a low lunge here. So stacking your right knee directly above your right ankle. Maybe taking your left leg and your left foot, tucking the toes under, and maybe walking it back a little bit until you find a nice stretch in your groin, in your pelvis, in that psoas area. Push down into all 5 toes on that front foot. Squeeze the thighs towards one another to keep that stability and that stableness there. Pull your navel back in towards your spine. Option to use blocks here to help lift the ground up to you, but send your hips towards the mat. So sinking them in towards the mat, finding a nice little stretch here. Wonderful. You're going to tuck the toes under. Option to lift the back knee, or you can just stay with your back knee on the ground. You're going to plant your left hand next to your right foot and lift your right arm up towards the sky to find a gentle twist here. A few breaths. Pull your navel back in towards your spine. And exhale, return that hand back onto the ground. Drop the back left knee. Send that back foot back. And then bring your left foot in between your hands, coming into low lunge here. So left knee directly above your left ankle. You can curl the back toes under and walk that back foot back a little bit until you find a nice little stretch here in low lunge. Sink your hips down in towards the mat to find a stretch. Inhale and exhale, in through the nose, out through the nose. Squeeze your inner thighs towards one another, so hugging everything in towards your center. Curl the right toes under. Option to lift that back knee, straighten through that back leg. Plant your right hand next to your left foot, and then inhale to lift your left arm up to the sky. Reach your fingertips up as you find a gentle twist on your left side. A few breaths here. Squeezing your inner thighs toward one another. And exhale to return that left hand back to the ground. Drop the back knee. And then return that left leg back to tabletop position. Now inhale to tuck the toes under. Exhale to lift the knees, and we're just going to stay here hovering for 1 breath cycle. So inhale, and then exhale, pull the navel back in towards the spine, and then slowly lift your hips up towards the sky. Good. Straightening out, bending the legs, keeping the knees bent here. Sending the tailbone towards the sky. Staying stable through the front body, pushing away from the mat with your hands. Make sure that all 10 knuckles are grounded into the mat, including especially that pointer finger, knuckle, and thumb. Inner elbows spin to face the front of the room. Ears are by your biceps. Inhale to breathe into the low back. Exhale to find a little more length, reaching the tailbone up to the sky a little bit more. Inhale, look up to your hands, and exhale to slowly walk your feet up to meet the backs of your hands. Now bend your knees here. Rest your torso over your legs. Let your head dangle. Crown of the head reaches towards the ground, maybe grabbing opposite elbows here. Finding a little movement, maybe rocking a little bit from side to side, but keeping that movement small. Maybe bending your knees as you do that. Great, and we'll slowly roll up. So exhale, straighten out through the legs, bringing the head and chin up last to avoid feeling lightheaded. Slowly, great. You're going to inhale, roll the shoulders up towards your ears, and exhale to roll them back around, pulling the shoulders away from the ears, creating space in the neck. Grounding down through all 10 toes, push into the mat with all 4 corners of your feet. Gently lifting the kneecaps, engaging the quads, engaging the legs, or maybe slight bend in your knees. Tilting the pelvis down so that the tailbone aims towards that space in between your back heels. Pull your navel back into your spine to firm and engage your abs and your stomach and your core. Lift the chest, lift the heart. Lengthen through the back of the neck, so maybe tuck the chin in slightly. And reach your head up towards, and reach the crown of the head up towards the sky. We're going to inhale to lift the right heel off the floor. Your toes can stay on the ground, or option to just lift that knee up, bringing it parallel to your hips. Flex the toes back, keeping active through that leg. Big breath in here. Focus your gaze at a point directly in front of you for these standing postures. It's going to help just a little bit. On your next exhale, you're going to send that heel back towards the back of the room, and as you do that, your torso is coming forward. So we're finding that balance almost like a seesaw, adding weight to the back and then bringing a little bit of weight to the front, coming into warrior 3. That heel and that leg is parallel to the hip. Bring your hands to your hips to make sure that your hips are aligned. Remember, if you fall out, you have a wall, use that. If you have blocks, you can bring them directly in front of you to help find balance. Great, and then we're going to rock forward, bringing that knee back up to your height. And remember, you can leave the toes touching on the ground, but otherwise we'll stay here. Flexing those front toes, flexing those right toes. We're going to bring the right sole of the foot into the left inside inner thigh. Other options for tree pose are you can leave your toes on the ground and just rest them on your ankle. You can rest them on your calf. Anywhere except for your knee. So just avoid the knee at all costs, but coming into tree pose here. Finding a little balance. Focus your gaze at a point directly in front of you to help you keep the stability. Pull your navel back into your spine, engage your core. Feel your left foot grounding into the mat, almost as if tree roots were coming up and holding your foot down. Great, and then inhale, keep that right knee lifted. And then bring that right ankle directly over your left knee, above your left knee, onto your left thigh, coming into a figure 4 here. Keep strong through that left leg. We're going to slowly send our hips back towards the back of the room as we bend our left knee, keeping the left knee directly above the left ankle. And you might wobble here, but again, remember to stay grounded, stay rooted through that left foot. Focus your gaze on a point in front of you and engage your ab, engage your core. Great, and then we'll straighten out, lifting that right knee again. And this time we're going to cross it over our left leg. Your toes can just come to the outside and rest here, or option to wrap your leg entirely around your left leg, bringing your arms up above overhead, and then cross your left arm above your right and wrap them around, finding an eagle arm pose. Inhale to lift the elbows just a little, lift the chest, and exhale, maybe bend in a little bit more, and then release, bringing your foot back onto the ground next to the left leg. And just do some ankle circles with your left leg. It's been working a lot, so just shake it out. And then we'll do the same with our other side. So option to stay here on the ground with your toes touching the mat, heel lifted, or bringing your knee up, flex those left toes back, knee is parallel and thighs parallel with the hips. Make sure the hips are level with one another. Squeeze your inner thighs toward one another to help with that stability. Flex your left toes back. Focus at a point directly in front of you and keep your focus there as you send that left heel back behind you and simultaneously bringing your torso forward, almost like a seesaw motion, distributing weight towards the back as we distribute a little bit of weight towards the front. Arms can stay by your sides here, or they can come to heart center, or they can stay at your hips, or they can come overhead to help you counter that balance a little more. Bend your knee here to help you stay a little stable, and maybe now the point you're gazing at is on the floor. Wonderful. And then we'll inhale to bring that left knee back up to the front, lifting our torso. And then we'll rotate that left knee out towards the side of the room as we open up our hip, bringing that left sole of the foot into the right thigh, pushing into the right thigh, and the right thigh is pushing back, grounding down through all 5 toes on your right foot. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, shoulders away from the ears. We're going to keep that left leg lifted, unraveling from tree pose, bringing the knee directly in front of you again, flexing those left toes back. And then cross your left ankle over your right thigh, directly over your right knee. Bring your palms together and maybe bring them to heart center as we shift the weight back, sending our hips back to a seated pose here. This is a half chair pose or a figure 4 or a standing pigeon pose. And then we'll inhale to lift back up, straightening through that right leg. Bring that left knee up in line with the hips. And then wrap your left leg around your right leg. Your toes can stay on the ground here, or option to wrap that leg all the way around, toes coming out through the other side. You can stay here, or option to lift your arms up and then cross your right arm over your left and wrap those arms around. Inhale to lift your elbows a little bit. Exhale, maybe you sink a little bit deeper into this, bending your knees a little more, finding more stability. One more breath, inhale and exhale. Unravel, bringing that knee back up, and then slowly putting it back down on the ground to meet your right leg. We're going to bring the hands to heart center and just take a moment to reconnect with our breath here, grounding down through all 10 toes and through all 4 corners of the feet. Finding an energetic lift through the knees. Pelvis tilts down towards that space between the back heels. Close your eyes here and just take a few moments to breathe in and out through the nose. Slowing down your breath, reconnecting with your breath. And when you're ready, you're going to bend the knees, circle the arms down, around, and up. And then exhale to bend your knees, fold over your hips, bending over the legs, bending your knees, returning to forward fold. Feet are hip width apart or feet are touching. Let your head relax. Let gravity take over. Shake your head yes. Shake your head no. Beautiful. We'll plant our hands on the ground and step one foot back and then the other, coming into plank pose. Option to drop onto your knees here. Otherwise, we'll stay lifted. Your shoulders are directly over your wrists. Your heels are directly over the balls of your feet. Pull the shoulders away from the ears so you're not hunching over there. And then lift your pelvis so it's almost in line with your shoulders. And then we'll lift our right hand up to the sky, balancing on our left hand, coming into a side plank here. Option to lift that bottom leg, so that left leg, and maybe wrap it around your right leg. Your right foot can come flat on the mat just to find a little stability here. Maybe we bend our knees, bringing our hips and sits bones as close to the heel, and then back up. Unravel that left leg, bringing that left foot back onto the ground and returning to center. Beautiful. And we'll go on to the other side. So maybe you move that right hand towards the center a little bit, coming onto the sides, the edges of our feet, as we slowly lift our left hand up to the sky. Staying strong here in this side plank pose. You're going to ground down through that left foot. Option to lift the right knee into your chest, and then maybe wrap it around your left leg. And if you do that, option to also send your sits bones close to your heel for one round, and then return both hands, unravel the legs, coming into plank pose. Beautiful. And from here, we'll drop the knees, send the knees out wide to either side, send the hips back towards your heels, toes come to touch. Reach your arms forward as far as you can, and then gently rest your forehead onto the mat. Returning to child's pose here, returning to where we started. Take a few moments to catch your breath again, slow down your breathing. In and out through the nose, big belly breaths, breathing deep into your low belly. And then exhale all the way out, expel all the air, pull your navel into your spine. And start to bring your attention inward again. Take a moment to notice how your body feels. Moving little muscles that we don't normally use or move. And then when you're ready, you're going to push back up to all fours. Cross your ankles behind your heels, and then just rock back to seated position. Or you can stay in child's pose. We've come to the end of the flow, so really just take that on however you want. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this quick little balancing yoga flow. Feel free to come back to this as often as you'd like to continue working on your balance, to continue working on that stability and that strength and that connection to core and to the earth. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment. Let me know how this went for you. I'd love to hear your thoughts. To close this out, we'll bring our palms together and bring them to heart center. We'll bow our heads in gratitude, taking a moment to appreciate our bodies and all that they do for us. sending love and light to all beings everywhere. Thank you so much, yogis. See you next time.